The rain began at midnight, heavy, rhythmic, like the forest itself was exhaling. Mara Ellison, 31, sat alone in her cabin at the edge of Willow Creek, the glow of her laptop flickering across her face. Outside, thunder rolled over the mountains, and each flash of lightning turned her window into a mirror. She'd set up 4 trail cameras that afternoon, her ritual before every storm, hoping to capture the elusive motion she'd seen last week. A shadow too tall, too still. But this storm felt different. The power flickered once, twice, and then everything went dark. Her heart raced as she heard something, a metallic click from the porch. The rain softened, and in that silence the camera light blinked red. At 3:07 a.m. Mara didn't see it, but her camera did. A tall, translucent figure standing 20 feet from her window, perfectly still staring toward her lens through sheets of rain. What if the creature isn't hunting her, but warning her? By morning, the storm had passed, but the world still felt heavy, like the sky hadn't finished breathing. Mara, eyes red from sleeplessness, scrolled through hours of recorded footage. Static, rain, flickers of motion. And then, at 3:07 a.m., she froze. The figure appeared for less than a second, but it wasn't lightning or glare. Its outline was clear, its stance deliberate, as if it wanted to be seen. Mara replayed the frame, zooming in until the pixels broke apart. The figure's head tilted slightly toward the camera, a gesture too human to dismiss. She saved the clip under one word: proof. Deputy Cole Ramsey, 42, had seen plenty of false alarms, blurry, Bigfoot shots, old camera glitches, but something about Mara's voice on the phone made him drive out anyway. When he stepped into her cabin, the smell of rain and damp earth clung to everything. Mara showed him the footage without a word. The moment it played, he stiffened. The figure didn't move like a man or animal. It phased, like its edges couldn't decide what world to exist in. Cole rubbed the back of his neck. Uneasy. Could be light interference, he said, though he didn't believe it. Mara turned to him, eyes wide. Then, why did it look straight at the camera? Cole didn't want to admit it, but he knew the stories. The elder spoke of the Rainwalker, a spirit caught between storms, appearing only to those marked by loss. Mara remembered her brother, swallowed by the flood years ago. The thought made her chest ache. She studied the reflection again. The creature's face, blurred by rain, seemed to match her brother's outline from an old photograph. Could it be a trick of grief, or something reaching out through the water? The next night, thunder returned. Mara stood on her porch, camera in hand, the lens aimed into the forest. She could feel it. Something watching, waiting. Cole had warned her not to go alone, but obsession had drowned reason. The rain began again, each drop echoing like a heartbeat. Lightning split the clouds, and in that white flash she saw it, not in front of her, but behind her, reflected in the puddles. And this time, it blinked. The next morning, Mara Ellison, 31st, sat cross-legged on her wooden floor, surrounded by screens. Each monitor played slowed-down footage of the rain. Frame by frame, she noticed it. The drops fell differently near the creature, as if the air bent around it. She marked timestamps, mapping where it appeared and vanished. Every occurrence aligned with lightning strikes and, chillingly, the exact coordinates of her brother's disappearance years ago. Her hands trembled as she compared the reflection from last night's puddle with an old photo. Her brother's outline. Same height. Same tilt of the head. No, she whispered, but in the footage, when lightning hit again, the reflection turned its head toward the camera. Seconds before she did, it wasn't just watching, it was copying. By dusk, Mara couldn't resist the experiment. She set up a full-length mirror on her porch facing the forest, the rain beginning once more to fall in sheets. Each droplet carried her heartbeat. She aimed her camera toward the glass and waited. At first, there was nothing but the rhythmic tap of rain and the low hum of thunder. Then, Within the reflection, a movement, faint, then unmistakable. The creature appeared beside her reflection, taller, its shape bending and sharpening like it was forming itself out of water. Mara didn't move, afraid to blink. When she finally exhaled, her reflection delayed by a second, then smiled faintly, while she did not. The delay wasn't a glitch. The mirror had betrayed her. Deputy Cole Ramsey, 42, returned the next day, skeptical but visibly unsettled. He'd seen the footage now, enough to know something was off, even if he couldn't explain it. "You're seeing patterns in chaos," he muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. Mara showed him the mirror clip. When the reflection smiled out of sync, Cole took a step back, his breath visible in the cold air. "That's not a glitch," he whispered. His reflection in the same mirror remained normal. The creature didn't appear for him, only for Mara. She stared at the glass, realization dawning. Whatever it was, it had chosen her. By nightfall, Mara had pinned dozens of printed maps across her walls. Each red mark indicated a storm where the rainwalker had been sighted, or at least where something strange had occurred. Flood warnings, lightning strikes, power surges. Cole watched quietly as she drew lines connecting the events, his face shadowed in lamplight. The lines converged on Willow Creek, her home. "It's like it's moving closer," she said, voice trembling. Cole shook his head. Or maybe it never left. Thunder cracked outside, shaking the window pane. Mara looked toward the reflection in the glass and saw herself still drawing on the map, even though she'd already stopped. The next storm came sooner than expected. Mara stood inside her cabin, camera lens aimed directly at the window, determined to capture the reflection in real time. Each flash of lightning illuminated her face, pale, strained, hollow-eyed. Then, through the camera's viewfinder, she saw it. The rainwalker wasn't behind her this time. It was in the reflection, looking straight into the lens. Its eyes, though faint and watery, shifted, becoming hers. She gasped, dropping the camera. The glass cracked on impact, and for a moment, in the reflection of the broken lens, her own face blinked, but her body didn't. The reflection was no longer separate. Cole Ramsey, 42, sat at the sheriff's office, the hum of old fluorescent lights filling the silence. He'd spent the last 2 hours sifting through water-damaged files from 20 years ago, the flood that had swallowed half of Willow Creek. Mud-streaked pages stuck together. Names of the missing had faded almost completely. One file stopped him cold. Ellison Daniel Mason Morris' brother. Attached was a report from a rescue worker describing a figure in the water that led survivors uphill, described as glowing through the rain. Cole leaned back, pulse quickening. Could the rainwalker have been there all along? Not a threat, but a savior? He snapped a photo of the document and drove toward Mara's cabin, the rain beginning again, as if summoned by memory itself. Mara, 34, laid out the yellowed newspapers across her table, headlines screaming from a forgotten era. Town floods in record storm. Local boy missing. She traced her brother's photo with trembling fingers. Lightning flashed outside, and the reflections of the pages flickered like moving water. Cole entered quietly, dropping the file in front of her. He wasn't alone that night, he said softly. She looked up, confusion and dread battling in her eyes. They saw something in the water, guiding them. Mara stared at the old photograph again. In the corner of the image, partially obscured by rain, a tall, indistinct figure stood watching. It wasn't the camera's fault. It had always been there. Cole unearthed an old VHS from the archives labeled Flood Interview, 2004. The footage was grainy, the sound warped, but a woman's trembling voice spoke through static. It pulled us toward the ridge, tall. Pull the silver. I thought it was a man until it vanished. Mara leaned closer to the screen, transfixed. In the corner of the frame, through a curtain of rain, A glimmer moved behind the rescue boats. Familiar. Fluid. Impossibly tall. Cole looked at her. It's not new, Mara. It's been here longer than us. She nodded slowly. Then it remembers. The tape hissed, then flickered, the rainwalker's silhouette forming one last time before vanishing into the white noise. They drove to the ridge where the survivors had been found. The road was slick with rain, the trees bending with the wind. Mara stepped out first, boots sinking into the soaked earth. The storm had returned, heavy and relentless. The creek below roared, echoing the same rhythm she'd heard on every recording. Cole followed, flashlight trembling slightly in his hand. It's dangerous, he warned. But Mara didn't listen. She stood by the edge, staring into the churning black water. Lightning flashed, and in the reflection standing right beside her was her brother. Not the rainwalker. Not exactly. His features were incomplete, formed from mist and memory. Then, as thunder rolled, he faded, replaced by the creature's shifting outline. The past was merging with the storm. Back at the cabin, Mara pieced it all together. Every storm, every sighting, every time she'd felt the creature watching, it all aligned with disasters. Floods, collapses, lightning strikes. It wasn't a predator. It was a warning. She played the latest clip again, the rainwalker visible for a full 3 seconds this time. As the lightning struck, its hand lifted toward the lens, as if signaling stop. Behind it, the trees blurred. Not from motion, but from distortion, like the air itself was fracturing. Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. Or maybe it's showing me what's coming. Outside, thunder cracked once more, and the lights went out. The storm warnings arrived early that night. Mara Ellison, 31st, ignored them. She lined her porch with mirrors, one for every angle the rainwalker had appeared in her footage. The glass sheets stood like sentinels under the steady drizzle, reflecting fragments of her cabin's warm interior. Cole Ramsey, 42, stood beside her. Uneasy. You're turning this into bait, he said, but she didn't answer. She adjusted the last camera, its red light blinking through the mist. The reflection shows truth, she whispered. Maybe it can show what it wants. As thunder rolled, the first mirror quivered. For a moment, it didn't reflect Mara at all. Only rain and a faint figure moving between the drops. Impossibly tall and fluid. Cole turned, eyes wide. Mara, it's already here. Lightning struck somewhere deep in the valley. All at once, the mirrors shimmered, their reflections no longer synchronized. In one, Mara stood still. In another, she was turned toward the forest. The air thickened, vibrating with static. Cole whispered, "Do you see that?" Mara stepped forward, watching herself shift from mirror to mirror, each version lagging behind the real one. But in the last pane, her reflection wasn't alone. The rainwalker stood beside her image, hand lifted, mirroring her own, a distorted twin. When she touched the glass, the temperature dropped. Her breath fogged the surface, and through it, she saw her reflection blinked twice. She hadn't blinked at all. The rain thickened into sheets, drowning every sound except thunder. Mara's camera rolled, capturing each mirror. But when she replayed the footage seconds later, her reflection in one frame was breathing, faster than she was. The rainwalker's outline flickered beside it, rhythm matching hers exactly. Cole moved closer, voice low. "You need to stop this." She shook her head, whispering, "It's communicating." The reflection's mouth moved too, forming words she couldn't hear. Then, suddenly, both her reflection and the rainwalker turned to look directly into the lens. Cole lunged to pull her back, but the mirrors shook violently, water cascading down their surfaces, distorting both images into one swirling, faceless shape. The storm screamed through the trees. One mirror shattered under the pressure of the wind, shards scattering across the porch like droplets of ice. Mara stumbled backward, clutching her arm, a thin cut trailing down her wrist. Her reflection across the other mirrors bled in the same place, seconds before the blood actually appeared. Cole grabbed her shoulders. "We're stopping this now." But Mara's eyes were locked on one remaining pane where the Rainwalker's shape had solidified. It reached toward her reflection, palm against the glass, and her mirrored image reached back. "Cole," she whispered, trembling. "It's not attacking. It's trying to connect." Outside, thunder exploded, and every mirror shattered at once. The mirrors were gone. Only shards remained, reflecting fragments of Mara's face. The rain eased into a cold mist. She crouched beside the wreckage, her breath trembling. In one large shard near her feet, she saw herself. But the reflection blinked once, and then smiled. Cole called her name, but she didn't move. The reflection's mouth formed silent words, lips curving into something almost kind. Then behind it, the Rainwalker appeared. Not as a monster, but as a silhouette shaped exactly like her. Mara whispered, "It's me." The shard flickered once more before going dark, the reflection fading into black. Outside, the rain began again, steady and endless, and from deep in the forest came a low, resonant hum, like water remembering its own shape. By dawn, the rain had turned violent. Willow Creek's flood sirens wailed once, sputtered, and died. The town disappeared beneath a gray curtain of water. Mara Ellison, 34, and Cole Ramsey, 42, watched from the cabin's porch as tree trunks floated down the main road. Lightning clawed the ridge in the distance. Cole's radio crackled. Static, then silence. "Lines are dead," he said. Mara's camera still blinked red. She refused to turn it off. "It's here when the sirens stop," she whispered. Whoa! Thunder rolled, and from the far edge of the property a tall, shifting figure appeared through the deluge, walking against the wind, its translucent body flickering with every flash. Cole reached for his weapon. Mara only whispered, "Don't." The Rainwalker was coming home. Water crept up the steps, swirling with debris. Mara's cameras flickered, recording nothing but static and light. She and Cole dragged gear inside, stacking sandbags that wouldn't matter. Then the reflection appeared again, on the window pane. The Rainwalker stood closer than before, its hand raised, palm out. The motion was unmistakable. "Stop," Cole shouted over the rain. "It's warning us." Mara nodded, breath shaking. "Or calling us." Outside, the creek's roar grew deeper, heavier, like something vast moving beneath the surface. For a single heartbeat, all the lightning froze in the clouds, bathing the forest in blue light. And the Rainwalker vanished, leaving only rippling air where it had stood. The water burst through the porch door. Cold flooded around their ankles, then knees. Mara clutched her camera, still rolling despite the storm. Cole yelled, "We have to move!" But she didn't hear him. She was staring into the rain. The Rainwalker stood only yards away now, luminous against the chaos. Each droplet seemed to freeze when it touched its form, sliding down like mercury. Mara stepped forward into the flood. Cole grabbed her arm, but the current tore between them. She stumbled, waist deep, raising the camera. The lens caught the creature's gaze, two glowing points within a face shaped like hers. The rain itself seemed to hush as she whispered, "What are you trying to tell me?" The storm roared like a living thing. Mara took one more step, and the Rainwalker extended its arm. For a moment, distance vanished. Her hand passed through its chest, yet she felt pressure, cold and electric, like touching the surface of deep water. Visions flashed. The night of the old flood, her brother calling her name, the Rainwalker, leading survivors through darkness. She saw herself, years from now, alone. Another storm, another warning. Cole shouted from behind, voice drowned by thunder. The creature's mouth moved. Mara couldn't hear the words, but felt them vibrate through her bones. Run. Lightning struck the ridge. and the flood surged toward them. The flood struck like a wall. Cole was thrown against the porch rail. Mara disappeared beneath the current. The camera spun in the water, still recording flashes of light and motion. Through the rushing dark, the rainwalker's glow pulsed faintly, searching. Mara surfaced, gasping. In the cabin's shattered window, she caught her reflection for a split second. It smiled calmly while she screamed. Behind that reflection, the rainwalker raised its head, mirroring her expression perfectly. The water tore them apart. Cole reached for her, shouting her name, but both the reflection and the creature dissolved in the torrent, leaving only the echo of thunder. When the lightning faded, the camera blinked once more, and then went still. When the rain eased, silence filled Willow Creek like fog. Broken trees jutted from brown water. The cabin roof was half gone. Cole Ramsey, 42, crawled from the wreckage, blood on his forehead, breath ragged. "Mara!" he shouted until his throat burned. No answer, only the hiss of water. Then, across the flooded field, he saw her camera wedged against a log, still blinking red. He lifted it with shaking hands. The screen glowed, replaying the last seconds before impact. Through lightning and chaos, the rainwalker stood over Mara's submerged body, arm raised toward the ridge, as if pointing, not mourning. Cole turned toward that direction. Another storm was forming. The warning wasn't over. Cole carried the camera into what remained of Town Hall. The generator hummed weakly, powering a single monitor. He connected the feed. Static danced before forming shapes, maps, rainfall patterns, temperature spikes. Each signal pulsed in rhythm with thunder. The footage from Mara's last recording overlaid itself, her voice whispering, "It's warning us." Then the image froze on the rainwalker, pointing to the ridge. A weather map showed the same location flashing red. A dam upstream, about to give way. Cole's pulse quickened. He grabbed the radio mic. "This is Deputy Ramsey. Evacuate the lower basin now," Static answered. But behind it came a faint echo, layered with Mara's voice. "Run. Outside." Lightning struck twice in the same place. Cole refused to leave without her. He commandeered a small rescue boat, guiding it through drowned streets where rooftops cut the surface like islands. Every few yards he shouted her name, and thunder answered back. Near the ridge he found footprints in the silt, bare, light, and leading toward higher ground. He followed, wind slicing through torn pines. At the crest he saw her, Mara Ellison, 31st, standing barefoot in the rain, alive, staring toward the valley below. "Mara!" he called. She turned slowly, eyes distant, pupils reflecting lightning. "It's not stopping," she said. "It's showing us where to go." Below them, the dam lights flickered, one by one, before the hillside rumbled. Wind howled across the ridge, carrying mist that shimmered around them. The rainwalker materialized between lightning flashes, towering yet still, eyes like hollow lanterns. It faced Mara directly, water swirling at its feet. She stepped closer. "You were never here to haunt us," she said. "You were trying to save us." The creature's head tilted. Lightning arced behind it, illuminating hundreds of smaller shapes in the mist. Echoes, reflections of those lost in past floods, all facing the valley. Cole tightened his grip on her arm. "If that dam goes, we've got minutes." Mara nodded slowly. "Then we listen." She turned toward the river, aligning herself with the rainwalker's gaze. In unison, they pointed toward a narrow canyon, a path high enough to survive. They ran. Water thundered behind them as the dam ruptured, a roar like the sky tearing apart. Cole and Mara climbed the canyon path, slipping on mud, the flood chasing inches below. Lightning turned the rain silver. At the last ledge, Mara looked back. The rainwalker stood at the valley's mouth, arms raised against the surge, its form splitting the torrent like a breakwater of light. For one heartbeat, it took her exact shape. Same face, same eyes, before the water consumed it. The flood slammed into the valley floor, missing the canyon by meters. Cole collapsed beside Mara, chest heaving. She watched the rain ease, whispering, "It warned us." From far below, the flood glowed faintly, pulsing once, like a heartbeat beneath the water. When dawn finally came, Willow Creek was a lake. The air hung heavy with mist and the smell of wet pine. Cole Ramsey, 42, sat on the canyon's edge, jacket torn, hands shaking. Below, rooftops peeked from water-like islands. There was no movement, only the soft creak of branches drifting by. Mara Ellison, 31, stood beside him, silent. Her skin was pale, hair clinging to her face, eyes hollow but calm. "It stopped," she said softly. Cole nodded, staring at the valley where the rainwalker had stood. The floodwater shimmered faintly in the sunlight, like liquid glass. "Did it die?" he asked. Mara didn't answer. In the reflection beneath them, she saw a second figure standing at her side. A faint, translucent twin smiling faintly before fading into the rippling water. By midday, rescue helicopters circled the ruins. Survivors gathered on the high ridge, wet, shivering, but alive. Cole helped an elderly couple from a rescue raft, the lines of exhaustion etched into his face. Mara wandered toward the cliff, camera in hand. She filmed the valley below, the lenses smeared with moisture. Through the haze, the water shimmered strangely, forming shapes that bent and twisted before dissolving. She zoomed in. For a fraction of a second, the rainwalker appeared again, standing upright in the flood's reflection, then vanishing as a helicopter's shadow passed over. She lowered the camera slowly. "It's still here," she whispered, watching. That night, in a temporary shelter, Mara played the final footage. The camera had survived. The video showed her standing knee-deep in floodwater, shouting words lost to thunder. Then the rainwalker appeared beside her, clearer than ever before. Its movements mirrored hers exactly, until one frame, where it turned toward the camera while she did not. Lightning flashed, freezing them both in perfect focus. The rainwalker's eyes reflected the shape of the dam breaking, as if foreseeing the collapse before it happened. Mara pressed pause. "It knew," she murmured. Cole leaned over her shoulder, his face pale in the dim light. "Then what's it waiting for now?" Outside, the first raindrop hit the roof. Days passed. The waters began to recede, leaving behind mud and silence. Yet each afternoon, a thin mist rose from the riverbed, carrying faint echoes of voices. Mara walked alone along the ridge, boots sinking into wet soil, camera slung across her shoulder. At the water's edge, she stopped. The reflection of the clouds shifted, then separated. Her own face looked up at her from the water's surface, blinking independently. "Mara," it whispered, though no sound broke the air. She knelt, trembling. The rainwalker appeared beside the reflection, its outline merging with hers until both vanished into ripples. Behind her, Cole called out. But she didn't turn. She simply whispered to the wind. "It's never gone. It's waiting for rain." A week later, clear skies returned. The town began rebuilding, but on Mara's recovered footage, saved from the storm, one final clip remained untouched. It showed her standing outside during the last rain, camera pointed directly at her reflection in the glass. For a moment, she and the rainwalker stood side by side. Then, as lightning flashed, the creature disappeared, and her reflection continued to move, lifting the camera, turning toward the viewer, and smiling faintly before the image went black. Now, each time clouds gather above Willow Creek, the new security cameras hum quietly. And when the first drops fall, every lens blinks once, then holds its gaze. Because somewhere between water and memory, the rainwalker still waits, watching the storm return.